Hello everyone, it's Jin'taan here, and another Tuesday means another set of patch notes. So let's take a look at the latest result of CCP's new 2-week release cadence experiment, which went live on the 26th of November, and is entitled the Rapid Fire Update. First of all, in features and changes, we have the balancing section, and a number of balancing updates have been introduced as a part of the Rapid Fire Update. The first of these is to the Stabber Fleet issue, which has had its bonus to medium projectile rate of fire increased to 7.5% per skill level, where it was previously 5%. The Tempest Fleet issue had a similar buff, with its bonus to large projectile turret rate of fire being increased to 7.5 per skill level, as opposed to 5 as well. The Typhoon also had its cruise missile and torpedo explosion velocity increased to 7.5% per skill level as opposed to its previous 5% per skill level, increasing its ability to apply to faster targets. The Bellicose gained an entirely new bonus, with a 7.5% per skill level of explosion velocity being added to heavy missile and heavy assault missiles on the hull, greatly increasing their application. The Rifter had its 5% damage bonus per level removed and replaced with a 5% rate of fire bonus instead. Now, due to the way EVE calculates these two bonuses, a rate of fire is almost always preferred, as whilst the damage bonus will increase your overall output by 25% at max level, a rate of fire bonus will instead divide it by 0.75, making this in effect a straight damage buff to the Rifter, being about 6.7% overall. This also means the bonuses to the Stabber Fleet and Tempest Fleet that were talked about earlier are slightly more than the 12.5% bonuses that they might appear to be on paper. The Munin has had its base maximum velocity reduced from 250 meters a second to 235 meters a second. Its signature radius has been increased to 125 meters from 115 meters. And the ship bonus to medium projectile optimal range has been decreased to 7.5% per skill level as opposed to 10%. All of the Angel Cartel ships have had their roll bonus to warp speed and warp acceleration reduced to 25%, whereas they were previously at 50%. Medium autocannons have had their rate of fire attribute increased by 3%, and their accuracy fall-off attribute has been increased by 5%. The nerfs to Barrage and Hail that were received shortly after the dominance of the Zvipul have been reverted, with Barrage ammo now giving the full 50% fall off as opposed to 40%, and the tracking speed penalty of Hail being reduced to 25% from 30%. All assault damage control modules have had their activation time and duration attributes decreased by 10%. Meaning that practically you're going to have access to the ADC state for around 1.5 less seconds, but you'll gain access to it 15 seconds earlier than you would have in the past. That wraps up the balancing, and alongside that we have one major gameplay update, which is the introduction of the shareable bookmark system. All existing personal corporate locations as well as location vouchers, which is bookmark tokens stored in inventories, have been converted to the new systems. And you can read the full details of this in a devlog that I will link in the description below. If you want me to read that out, I can do that, but I don't think it's entirely necessary. And alongside all of that, they've added a new shortcut to allow you to open the Save Locations context menu directly in space. We also have a fair amount of new items that come along with this patch, such as the new high-grade Mimesis set, which allows you to increase the maximum that your disintegrators can ramp up to, at the cost of making it slower for them to ramp up in the first place. A new Tech 1 capital weapon for the Triglavian Dreadnought, the Ultra-Tidal Entropic Disintegrator, has been launched. And as ammunition, it takes a newly introduced set of extra-large Tetrion, Baryon, and Meson exotic plasmas. And in order to build the ship that can utilize said weapon, a couple of new capital components have been added to the game for use in constructing it, such as the Capital Ultra-Tidal Entropic Mounting, the Capital Radiation Conversion Unit, and the Capital Absorption Thruster Array. In missions and NPCs, we hear about some of the new content which will allow us to gain these items. Concord has established observatories to study the Triglavian stellar accelerators. Capsuleers are asked to assist local Empire forces in defending these vital intelligence structures from assault by the Collective. Although you can also apparently choose to betray the Empires and work for the Triglavians instead, which, I don't know about you, sounds a lot more fun to me. And all of this builds up to what is probably the focus of this particular release, and that is the new ship that we have gained access to, the Jin'taan, which is the Triglavians' dreadnought. Now I'm not going to read out all of the attributes because that's effectively pointless, but I will hit the high points here, such as its bonuses and slot layout. For every level that you have of Precursor Dreadnought, you'll get a 4% bonus to all armor resistances, a 5% bonus to Ultra Tidal Entropic Disintegrator Maximum Damage Multiplier bonus, and a 3% reduction to Ultra Tidal Entropic Disintegrator cycle time. On top of that, they have the standard Triglavian roll bonuses of a 100% bonus to remote armor repair range, a 50% reduction in energy neutralizer cap need, a 50% reduction in remote armor repairer cap need, and a 50% reduction in smart bomb cap need. And it has a relatively standard layout with 3 high slots, 4 mid slots, and 8 low slots, meaning that it has 1 high slot to use a utility high, the other is going to be filled with siege and your main gun. The one final thing to note about the Jin'taan on this patch, however, is that it is incredibly potent, to the point where I've heard people discussing about if it's going to be hotfixed or not, as at its full ramp up it can easily outdamage a Titan, which is an absurd amount of DPS to be able to bring to the field. Alongside this though, we do still have changes that are affecting newer players in the game, with new players now being given a login campaign built to help support them through their first few days in New Eden, complete with minor rewards. And the login campaign for Black Friday is about to be underway, with it starting November the 27th and ending December the 3rd, although the rewards are not yet publicly known. And lastly, there have also been a few UI improvements, with a new progression messaging interface for the Observatory Flashpoint Dungeon, the seasonal login rewards window being updated and integrated with the new player daily login rewards UI, and an improved Neocom item for the daily login rewards window. And around all of the new features and changes, we have the usual defect fixes, which I'm going to continue to read out just for clarity and to prove that CCP does, in fact, occasionally fix bugs. In audio, the missing SFX on the Triglavian ships when transitioning to and from attack modes has been fixed. The consumption of resources by control towers has been fixed, as they were not correctly consuming fuel blocks. A problem where the Entropic Disintegrator was being counted towards stacking penalties of its own modules has been fixed. The VFX animations on the Damavik playing wrong after you have logged in space has been fixed, and the animation on the Damavik going into warp whilst still attacking a target has been fixed. An issue where stacked blueprint originals would use the blueprint copy icon has been fixed, and numerous text overflow issues in the agency and project discovery have also been fixed. And that concludes the patch notes for this release. But before I end the video, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who suggested that I should still monetize my work in the last video. Whilst I'm not going to do that just because I don't think it's a good example to set myself to make money off of something that I've not really added that much value to. But the fact that you guys were so willing to sit through a couple of minutes of YouTube ads means that I'm doing something that is worthwhile, and that's very important to me, and it makes me want to continue doing these. Now, if you want to discuss this patch with me or other members of the video watching community, you can do so in the Discord, which is linked in the description below. And a special thanks as always goes out to our Crassuses, Pinche Infidel from Old School, Brood from Triumvirate, and to Zolka Lando, as well as to our other $5 patrons in Dustin Prater, Meeks, Zar, Olav Olden, Kem, Raphael, Big Bada Boom, Dunk Dinkle, and the Ashfell Federation. If you want to support the channel yourself, you can either check out the Patreon link in the description below, or just share the video with some other people who you think might enjoy it. Until next time, have a good day and fly smart.